My friends, welcome to this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. I hope you all are doing well. Some years back, I discovered an outdoor company called MC ToMount, and since that point in time, I've been very impressed with their products. I have used and reviewed many of them. The products that this company is known for are tents, very high quality tents made with very good materials that have very low price tags. At the same time, these tents oftentimes feature unique and different designs that you typically do not see. Out of the tents that I've tested out, I have to say I've liked every single one of them. I have liked every single one of them up until today. Recently, after the request of numerous viewers, I purchased the MC ToMount Bivy tent. I got it in, I took it out for a trip, and folks, I literally cannot review this product. You're probably asking, why can't he review the product even though he purchased it, he has it on hand? The problem is this. I do not fit inside of this tent, and the odds are you are not going to fit inside of it either. This is the most ridiculous tent I have ever tested out, and as far as a design standpoint goes, this is nonsensical. This is the MC ToMount tent, and you may be thinking to yourself, this looks like a very long shelter. Why doesn't Luke fit inside of it? Well, there's two components here. We have the fly, which is rather long, rather wide, and then we have the tent inner that is attached to the fly. That is a very unique feature, especially for bivy tents. This allows you to set this tent up in the rain. In the outdoor industry, this is referred to as a fly first pitch, meaning you can set this tent up with the fly exposed, the inner is pre-attached, and you can set the tent up in the rain and the inner will stay dry. With this being a bivy tent, obviously this was designed for one person. This does have one door. And I'll go ahead and roll this up and get it out of the way. And then we'll start talking about the big problems with this shelter. Here we have the doorway. This is how you access this tent. Now you may be thinking to yourself, bivy tents are designed to be small, and that is true, but not this small. So the exterior dimensions, this is roughly 8 foot long. On the inside here, where you sleep, if you are taller than say 5 foot 3 inches, you are not going to fit in this tent. Seriously, folks, on the inside here, it is so incredibly small. I'm not a tall guy, and I don't fit inside of this tent. I tried to though. On an adventure recently, I set this up. I had some thoughts about it. I wasn't too impressed with the overall design of this tent. Nightfall came, I went to get inside of the tent, and this is what happened. Folks, this is the most ridiculous bivy tent I've ever been in. So I'm not a super tall guy, right? But this is too small for me. My head is wedged up in the corner and my feet are wedged in the bottom. This is so small, it's uncomfortable. I didn't expect this to be a large tent, but I did not expect to be wedged inside of this. This is crazy, everyone. I'm going to do my best to get comfortable inside of this. I'll bring you all back in just a bit. I don't know if you all can see this, but when I'm laying down, my head is touching the wall here, and my feet, I mean, they're being compressed by the bottom material. Wow. That's all I have to say. And everyone, that's why I test out this gear. I purchased this so you don't have to. Do not purchase this. It's not a good idea. Not unless you're like, I don't know, under 5 foot tall. Then you might be able to get it to work. But anything over that, you'll regret it. I'm not sure how well this is coming through, but my head is pressed up against this mesh. This is incredibly uncomfortable, everyone. So uncomfortable, I'm not sure if I could sleep inside of this. No joke, folks. I literally did not fit inside of this tent. I could not sleep in it. That night, I ended up sleeping in a chair instead of sleeping inside of a tent. How ridiculous is that? I do want to mention this, everyone. It is not a good idea to take out products such as tents on trips without testing them out first. Do not do what I do here on the channel as far as gear testing goes. Keep in mind, I'm gear testing, and that was a gear testing trip. I had a new tent, I had a new stove, and I was testing out those products so I can share real-world experiences and perspectives with you all. Again, make sure that you have a good quality tent, make sure you know how to set it up, make sure you fit inside of it. I shouldn't have to say that, folks, but apparently I do. Initially, when looking at the pictures of this product on Amazon, I was very excited about it. I had some questions, but all in all, it looked promising. It looked like an inexpensive version of the Snugpak Ionosphere. Unfortunately, that is not what we have here. The Snugpak Ionosphere is a bivy tent just like this, and it features a good design. The problem is that over the years, the price has gotten so high, it doesn't make sense to purchase that tent. Initially, that tent could be picked up for around $100. Now it is $300, and it's made from a very inexpensive polyester. The price is so high for that tent that I can no longer recommend it. It just does not make sense. Anyways, with the bivy tent here, I was hoping that it would be a good competitor to the Ionosphere, and no, it is not. Talking about this tent here and the trip that I did out with it, there was a moment when I had the tent set up and I was getting my sleeping pad, I was inflating it, and I was putting it inside of the tent. You can actually see on camera here, something registers in my mind, but at the time I didn't think much about it, but I noticed something, I picked up on something. As I was putting the sleeping pad in the tent, it actually got stuck down at the foot box. And that's because the foot box here is so small, the pad got stuck down in the bottom. That was a warning sign that I just didn't pick up on. Something registered, but I didn't pursue that thought. And it became abundantly clear once I got into the tent later that night. Down here at the footbox, which is somewhat hard to see, this tent slopes down almost to a point. The footbox is so small that you can't have your feet up like this. I was having to like curl my toes just to be able to cram them down in the bottom. That is absolutely ridiculous. Up here at the top of the tent where your head would go, you would think that you would have more space based upon how this tent looks, but that's not the case. As far as appearances go, this tent is very deceptive, and so are the measurements that the company gives. I am going to do my best to give you all the real measurements concerning this tent. It's not easy to do though, because this tent is so crazy small. And also, there are so many sharp angles inside of this tent. Being able to judge where to measure from is difficult. So I will do my best. As far as usable space goes, you're looking at 63 inches, which is 5 feet 3 inches. Let's say that you're 5 foot 3 inches, right? I would still not recommend this tent. On top of your sleeping pad, your feet will be crammed against the mesh at the bottom, and you would have mesh laying on your head at the top. The maximum height for this tent is right at 27 inches. The maximum width is 30 inches. Those are the maximum dimensions as far as height and width goes. Do keep in mind that everything about this tent angles in. So from the widest point, it goes together towards the foot. Up here at the head, very sharp decline. And that's why you do not have much space inside of this tent. This tent features literally the worst design that I've ever seen, ever. I've never seen a product designed so poorly. The overall shape of the inner is ridiculous. The shape of the exterior of the tent is equally as ridiculous. And the truth is, it does not pitch very well. In fact, getting a taut pitch with this tent is virtually impossible. Because this tent features such a poor design, and because it's made from seal nylon, you have some serious problems that begin to really present themselves the longer that this tent is outside. Once this tent gets wet, this fly here, it stretches, it sags. No matter what you do to try to correct that, this tent will fight you. And again, that's because of the poor design. There's multiple things going on here, right? You have to keep in mind that the fly and the inner are connected. Because they're connected, it makes making any adjustment here extremely difficult. With the stakeout points, these are adjustable. With the way that the inner attaches to the fly, that too is adjustable. Unfortunately, this makes setting up this tent extremely complicated. Basically, every single one of these stakeout points also has an additional adjustment layer that again just makes this overly complicated, and it makes making any adjustment extremely difficult. Not only that, folks, but this tent features a very weird cut, especially down here at the foot. It comes to a point and then the sides flare out. Honestly, it just pitches like garbage. Plus, this center pole here that raises up to give you some space at the foot, not much, it creates some weird lines here as far as the fly goes. At the same time, it causes the fly to lay on the inner. So let's say that you're inside of this tent, ventilation is pretty poor because the fly goes down to the ground. You will have condensation form on the inside of the fly. Because the fly lays on the inner, that moisture will be transported to the inside of the tent, and it will be atrocious. As far as my impressions go outside of what I've talked about already, let's just go over those real quick. As far as quality goes, absolutely excellent. The construction, absolutely excellent. There's no loose threads. The materials are of a high quality. The zippers are super smooth. The tent is reinforced in locations that it needs to be reinforced. This is a very well-made tent. Unfortunately, it is not well designed. The weight of this tent is not bad at 2.5 pounds. It is certainly a lightweight bivy tent. At the same time, the storage size is really quite impressive. It's only 15 inches long, 5.5 inches wide. As far as airflow goes inside of this tent, it's okay as long as you can leave the door open. But let's say that you have to seal this up. We do have two vents here that do very, very little. And at the same time, the fly goes basically down to the ground. When it comes to a tent system, the majority of your airflow comes from air going underneath the fly into the inner. With this tent here, the fly goes down to the ground, limiting airflow, which will then cause condensation to form. Once you have condensation inside of this tent, you have a big problem. And that's, again, because the fly lays right on top of the inner, and if it's windy, of course, it'll just be raining down on top of you. How waterproof is this tent? Unfortunately, I do not know. Because this tent is not going to work with the majority of you all, my viewers, there's no point to continue testing this out. There's no point to waterproof test this. This is such a bizarre situation, everyone. This tent has really left me just absolutely flabbergasted. What has also left me flabbergasted are the fake reviews on Amazon. This product has a lot of glowing reviews, and you can tell that these people have never used this product. Some have received it for free. I would say some of the reviews are fake, but there are a handful that are legit, where people actually talk about the problems with this tent, and I would like to talk about some of those. One honest review says, "This tent is extremely small." That's all the review said. Another review said, "Too small, no room for my feet due to the design." That is absolutely true. Seriously, when you're on top of your sleeping pad, your feet are not going to fit inside of this. They're going to be cramped. They're going to be smashed, and you will be uncomfortable. Another review says, "Do not use this tent in the rain. I had so much condensation on the inside, it felt like it was raining." There's another review that says the dimensions are false. No way the dimensions listed are correct. They're not correct. Not at all. The company claims that this tent is 98.4 inches long, 49.2 inches wide, and has a maximum height of 31 inches. We've measured the inside of this tent, the usable dimensions, not the external ones. And no, Those dimensions are complete crap. That's why with every review that I do for a tent shelter, I measure the real world dimensions, not the external ones that mean absolutely nothing to most people. I want to know what the usable space is inside of a tent, and that is something that should change in the outdoor industry. In addition to giving us the external measurements, give us the real world dimensions on the inside of the inner. Giving us the external dimensions is almost deceptive. For anyone who wants to argue that this is a bivy tent, it was designed to be small, that's not the case. This is so much smaller than any bivy tent should be. It is much smaller than any regular bivy is. When you're inside of a bivy bag, the material lays down on top of you. With this tent here, it actually compresses you. The mesh is so tight, it is so small, it actually compresses your feet and also your head, making this tent virtually unusable. With all of that being said, I do have a message for MC ToMount. Please go back to the drawing board when it comes to this product. There's no point to even offer this. Take it off of the market. And also correct the dimensions with your listing because they're absolute rubbish. They mean nothing at all. In fact, I would say that the dimensions that you provide are quite deceptive. This is not a product that should be out on the market. It is ridiculous. This is a kid's tent and nothing more. Nobody else can fit in it, plain and simple. I will elaborate on the materials that were used to make this tent. The fly is a 20 denier sil nylon, which features a 3000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating. The floor is a 210 Oxford polyester that also features a 3000 millimeter hydrostatic head rating. That's the waterproof rating, and that's quite high. We have aluminum poles and aluminum tent stakes. And lastly, the price of this tent is $100. What the company should do, this is what I think. And of course they can do what they want to, right? They should take the SnugPack ionosphere. Look at the design of that tent. That tent has two poles, a large pole up at the head, a smaller pole at the bottom. Those two poles spread out the body, giving you quite a bit of space inside of that tent. Take the SnugPack design and improve upon it. If they can do that, they can have a big seller on their hands. Better materials, better design, lighter weight, lower cost. It would sell like hotcakes. This here, this is just flat out wrong, and I'm done talking about it. For this episode, folks, I am done. There really is nothing else to say about this. If you found this episode helpful, please hit the thumbs up. That's a great way to support this channel. Of course, if you want to become a member and support the channel financially, you could do so on Patreon and on YouTube. Please keep in mind that I purchase 99.9% of all of the products that I review on this channel, and every product that I review is based upon your feedback. Folks, I'm done. Everyone, take care, be well, strength and honor. Bye for now.